have barely even spoken.
One of his top aides said that he spoke to you on a regular basis, that you are one of his top advisors.
That's absolutely not true.
Good morning and welcome to Fox and Friends Weekend. We begin with that engine explosion over the skies of Colorado. Ashley Strohmeyer joins us live with the harrowing accounts from people on board. Ashley?
Yeah, it was a horrifying experience for the 241 people on board a United plane that was headed for Honolulu from Denver after one of its engines caught on fire 15,000 feet in the air.
Look at that piece falling down there. Look at.
Whoa.
I want to go see what that debris is about. You see that? Yeah. And then look, you can see the smoke way up high.
Whoa.
Now, the pilot was heard in a Mayday call asking for the immediate okay to turn around and then land that plane. Here's two of the passengers who were on board. Listen.
A lot of turbulence and then like a really bright kind of bang and flash.
Just barely see some sparks every now and then. And of course you could smell it and it felt warm under my feet.
And as passengers watched it happen from the air, people on the ground also watched debris rain down.
Planes don't fly this low over our house. They never fly over our house. Oh! It's got a blown engine! Oh no!
Oh my gosh, most of the debris landed in the neighborhoods of Broomfield. That's about 20 miles outside of Denver.
What was like it was like that kind of like noise, like metal, like it did sound like a crashing metal kind of sound.
Police said they're shocked no one died, and not only that, but there's no reports of injuries. The NTSB is asking anyone with debris from the plane or any other information to give them a call. Back to you guys.
Ashley, thank you very much. Will, this was a flight from Colorado bound for Honolulu, and Will made the operative point before we started the show. What if they've been further along? Right. Over the ocean, on the way to, I mean, thank God they were where they were when it occurred.
Absolutely terrifying.
Can you imagine looking out your window?
No.
I mean, that's the kind of thing we all look out our window and look at an engine and say, hey, you know, everything's good. To see that, I mean, if that is your view in seat 7D, you're having a scary day.
Yeah, from both perspectives, terrifying, being on the plane and seeing that, and then also the people on the ground watching stuff fall, wondering if their house is going to be next, kind of feeling like they had to dodge it. And also the people noticing. I mean, that guy who notices says, oh, the engine blew out, and then just the terror of all of it. Really, really scary. So glad that everyone's okay and that that plane was able to land successfully. Incredible to see.
Yeah. If there are any other, I'm sure they'll be doing a big old investigation to figure out how in the world a plane with that kind of problem went up in the air in the first place. So we'll continue to monitor that. But there was big news that hit yesterday because folks have been waiting to find out when the former president, Donald Trump, will speak out first. He did do a series of phone interviews here at Fox News Channel when Rush Limbaugh passed for remembrance to him, but otherwise has been largely silent other than small reports out of Mar-a-Lago. Well, that is about to change in a week because Donald Trump will speak at CPAC next Sunday. He's slated for sometime on Sunday afternoon, which is the final day of that conference down in Orlando, Florida. And a lot of folks wondering, what will his message be? Will it be looking backwards? Will it be looking forwards? Will it be, they say, reportedly, it will be about the future of the Republican Party and also pointing out the disaster that is Biden's border policies. The best preview we could get thus far is from Mercedes Schlapp. She's a former Trump White House Director of Strategic Comms. Her husband, Matt, runs CPAC, and she weighed in on Justice last night on what you might anticipate hearing from the former president.
President Trump focusing on a forward-looking vision of what the Republican Party will look like, what the conservative movement will look like, and what America will look like. There's millions of Americans out there who are ready to hear from the president. We know the president has been silenced. He's been taken off these major platforms by the big tech companies and by so many Democrats who want to shame him and shame his supporters. And we at CPAC believe that it's important for the president to have a voice, for the president to be able to speak, because as we know, we want every American to know that their right to freely speak in America is still protected.
Well, Fox and Friends will be there, guys, next weekend. I'll be reporting live from CPAC, also hosting our show on site from CPAC, also giving a little speech that probably won't be monitored as closely as the President of the United States, speaking on Saturday. And Will, to Mercedes Schlapp's point, the President is, having been taken off of Twitter, it's an unusual silence over the last couple of months, and this will be, which builds the anticipation for a speech like this even more.
You heard Mercedes Schlapp say there that the president should have a big voice going forward. The president will have a big voice going forward as to the direction of the Republican Party. No matter how you feel about the president, either strongly in support of or strongly against his personality, one thing you cannot deny is he's shaped the Republican Party, whether or not that means America First policies, economic populism, a change in approach to China and foreign policy, an approach to big tech. The president's point of view has come to shape the Republican Party. Others, Jedediah, have attempted, and I emphasize the word attempted, to take up that mantle, but it is still the president who pushes those messages forward, and I would anticipate when we hear him at CPAC some vision of the future for the Republican Party.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I don't want to anticipate what he will or won't say. I think that we all know there's a great sense of responsibility that comes with being president. That's talked about a lot. What's not talked about enough, though, is also the great sense of responsibility that comes with being an ex-president, particularly in that first year. I remember George Bush, when he left office, being particularly quiet. I often praised that. I often wanted President Obama at the time, when he left office, to stay quiet for a little bit. I'm going to say the same thing now. And the reason is that a new president enters office. It's hard. It's really challenging. You've just had half the country really upset about that decision in pretty much every case. So you have to toe that line. And I remember Bush saying at the time that Obama deserves my silence. I think those were his words. So I think I would just urge some caution. If you are going to give a speech, you have great power as an ex-president that has just left office. If the message is to bring unity, and I think a lot of people have been calling on President Biden to do that, then it becomes really hard to do that as an ex-president if you're now watching your policies vanish and new policies come in that you disagree with. So I would just urge some caution, particularly because the country is so divided. We're coming off of those riots. There's a lot going on. I personally favor that silence in presidents that have just left office just for a little while that transition comes into play. But it seems that President Trump is headed in a different direction. So let's see what he says. Hopeful that there will be an optimistic, positive message there. Remains to be seen. And Pete, I'm sure you'll be on the ground there. You'll be covering that very closely for us.
Absolutely. We'll be. Fox Nation is broadcasting all of CPAC as well. So between Fox Nation and Fox and Friends being there, we have you covered as the president takes to the podium, and we'll get a chance to hear from him. Go ahead, Jed.
No, go right ahead.
All right, there's another topic we're covering this morning. Andrew Cuomo was featured, by the way, on Saturday Night Live last night in a pretty funny way, along with Ted Cruz. But they nailed Cuomo and his insistence on not apologizing. And there's been many layers to his nursing home scandal, one of which is this call in which Melissa DeRosa, his secretary, admitted that they had been fudging the numbers because of a federal investigation. Well, we're getting new information about that phone call or Zoom call that Melissa DeRosa was on with Democrat state legislatures on February 10th. This infamous call where she admitted to fudging the numbers. Well, now she also claimed that the Cuomo administration was talking a lot with certain doctors. Here's a quote from Melissa DeRosa, again, senior advisor to Cuomo. The governor speaks on a regular basis with Dr. Fauci and Mr. Michael Osterholm. I would say those are two of the people that are chief advisors. The pesky part of that, Will, is someone needs to tell Michael Osterholm that.
That's right. So she says that the governor speaks on a regular basis with Dr. Michael Osterholm. Well, he was on the firing line with Margaret Hoover, where he was asked, how often are you talking to Governor Andrew Cuomo? Listen to his answer.
First of all, I have not had anything to do with his nursing home activity at all. I came on basically in early June, only just to review data on a weekly basis. Did it meet the standards that they had set? So I was almost more of a technician than any kind of technologist. I've never met with their group. I have a paper trail on all of the emails, and all I ever was asked to do is, did this meet the red, green, or yellow zone numbers? And that was it. I've not had a discussion with him, and I've not met with any of them. I've never met with them. I've never had a Zoom call with any of them.
So first of all, the sharks are circling when it comes to Governor Andrew Cuomo. There have been stories in the last couple of days about his infamous temper, the berating calls he's given to those who stand in his way on any given issue. Do you think that Melissa DeRosa has received any angry phone calls from Andrew Cuomo over the past week?
Will she?
She is at the center of two of his largest PR scandals, all within a week's time. Here, she laying out, Jedediah, that she talks, or rather the governor talks regularly with a doctor who says, I don't talk to them at all.
Yeah, they didn't think the doctor was going to come out and say that. And I mean, he doesn't want to be tied into all of this nonsense and tied into all of the mismanagement that went on. So it's crazy, actually, that they thought they were just going to say that and the doctor was going to sit back and not clarify, or that he wouldn't be asked, because now media is on this story left and right, and they're coming out and asking these questions. Cuomo spokesperson Rich Azzopardi tried to clarify. I don't know. Let's see how this works for everyone out there. This is what he said. The question at the meeting was about the Times DOH story. One of the main takeaways of which was that DOH wasn't involved in microclusters. This was our microcluster expert who we relied on and the team talked to regularly. I don't know who that satisfies out there. I'm certainly not one of those people, but I think that it's incredibly indicative, though, that Cuomo has gotten away with a lot. He got his Emmy, he did his book tour, he wasn't asked tough questions for a really long time, and the expectation is that that will continue. He still has not woken up to the fact that times have changed and people are now asking serious questions and looking for accountability on his part.
He used the they used the microcluster expert defense.
Right.
We'll see how much
Yes.
that works versus they were claiming he's a big advisor, not so much.
Right. All right. We'll continue to follow that in the next couple.
Back. Well, Merrick Garland faces a hearing before the Senate Judiciary Committee tomorrow as President Biden's choice for Attorney General. One topic that is expected to come up among GOP lawmakers, will he or won't he investigate Governor Cuomo over New York's nursing home cover-up? Let's bring in Ian Pryor. He is the former DOJ Deputy Public Affairs Director under the Trump administration. Ian, great to have you this morning. So when it comes to the topic of Andrew Cuomo, will they ask directly? Would he ever answer directly? These kind of hearings are often a lot of careful speak. What do you expect on this topic?
Well, I expect that this is going to be one of, if not the most potent topics that the GOP senators are going to have for Attorney General nominee Garland. You know, it's very similar to what you saw in 2017 when you had Rod Rosenstein on the Hill, and they were talking about the Russia investigation, and they were asking him for, you know, his pledge to run it independently, whether he would appoint a special counsel. I think you're going to see the same thing with Merrick Garland. This is a big test for not only him, but the Biden administration in general, because they pledged an independent Justice Department. And, you know, you saw last week that Biden met with Cuomo. So I think this is certainly going to be something that, you know, everyone's going to be keeping an eye on both tomorrow and going forward.
On that theme of independence, what other topics will he be pressed on, do you think? Is it the Durham probe? Is it Hunter Biden? I mean, what other topics will be there for them to prove your attorney general will actually be independent, or try to prove?
So I think both on Hunter Biden and the Durham probe, he'll give all the right answers. But the question is, when it comes time for Durham to wrap up his investigation, is there going to be transparency? We saw the Mueller report because Attorney General Barr chose to release it, but he didn't have to. So the fact that the Durham report is allowed to continue doesn't mean that we're going to get all the answers from potentially Attorney General Garland. One of the other issues that I think you're going to see is what's called third-party settlements. This is something that Fox had reported was going to come back after Attorney General Sessions canceled it. Essentially, it's when you have a civil lawsuit, the government will then direct the settlement funds to go to a third-party group instead of the United States Treasury. This has been called the slush fund for left-wing organizations, and I could see this being a big issue with several members of the Senate Judiciary Committee.
Ultimately, Ian, big position, Attorney General. Any chance he trips up, or is this a nomination basically a foregone conclusion?
I think his confirmation is probably a foregone conclusion. I look at Merrick Garland, I look at Lisa Monaco, the Deputy Attorney General. Those are safe picks. Where the things are going to start to get a little hairy is with his pick for Associate Attorney General Vanita Gupta and his pick for Civil Rights Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark.
Interesting. Well, Vanita Gupta has been out there talking about defunding the police. Not helpful when you're going to be in charge of some of that. Ian Prior, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
You got it.
Biden is being forced to reach across the aisle to secure his nomination of Neera Tanden to lead the Office of Management and Budget. This after Democratic Senator Joe Manchin reveals he will vote against Biden's pick. Tanden faces backlash for bashing Republicans on Twitter. And New Mexico's Democratic governor is caught spending taxpayer money on groceries, dry cleaning, and alcohol. The Santa Fe, New Mexican uncovering Michelle Lujan Grisham spent more than $13,000 over a 6-month period. She put the blame on a staffer who made the purchases. Over to you, Will.
Wasn't me, was somebody else, somebody that works for me. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio is leaving a youth hockey team out in the cold over his feud with President Trump. The mayor is shutting down Trump Organization ice rinks in the city, which include the famous Wollman Rink in Central Park and Lasker Rink, leaving hundreds of kids without a place to skate. Joining us now is the program director of ice hockey in Harlem, Malik Garvin, joined by 12-year-old hockey player Amaya Hernandez and her mother, Zoraida. Malik, I'd love to start with you for just one moment. Tell us a little bit about hockey in Harlem, what you guys do, and the notice you got out of the blue that you're no longer going to be able to skate this season.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Ice Hockey in Harlem is a nonprofit that serves over 300 kids in the Harlem community. It's been around for over 30 years. I played in it since I was 3 years old. You can check us out on www.icehockeyinharlem.org. Free of charge. We give kids in the neighborhood the chance to play a non-traditional sport, and we offer them things that other kids in the neighborhood don't get, so they can better themselves and improve their lives. I received notice the night before. I had to tell 300 kids and their parents, that's it, we're done. And this is something that we take pride in. We have boys and girls ages 5 to 18. They start when they're young. They stick with it. We're dedicated. It's something that they all look forward to, and especially now, it's the one thing that they have. Right now, that's the one thing that they have, and it's being taken away from them overnight.
Yeah, and I think the statement was we are impeaching Trump from the skating rinks in New York, from de Blasio. This is, of course, just a few weeks before the contract was scheduled to end anyway between President Trump, former President Trump, and the rinks in Central Park. Was scheduled to be canceled in April. Now, being canceled here in the middle of February means many people don't get to skate. Like you, Amaya, what has this meant for you, your ability to go to Central Park, Lasker Rink, Wollman Rink, wherever it may be, and skate and play hockey?
It's really upsetting because I was looking forward to the last day of ice hockey because that's when usually me and my friends, we get each other's phone numbers, we ice skate, we say our goodbyes, and to have that end early is really sad. And also because ice hockey in Harlem has given me lots of opportunities, and for that to end so early, and because we only have 3 more practices left, so I don't know why they would choose to close the rink early.
Yeah, it's tough to understand why, Amaya. Here's a statement, by the way, Zoraida, from the park spokesperson. We are working diligently through our competitive process to secure new operators for these great amenities so as to not impact the respective seasons. Now, Zoraida, you've had 3 kids. Amaya's one of them who've played with ice hockey in Harlem, and you can hear the park's spokeswoman talk about the future. But what about now? Why are your kids being kicked off the rink right now?
We don't really understand why. It's really devastating. My kids have been in this program for 6 years, and we're just one of hundreds of families that, we really enjoy this program and stuck with it. This is like Christmas for our kids. This is the one thing that they look forward to every year, and to have it snatched away from us without any explanation, it's really crazy. We knew the mayor put out that he was going to cut ties with Donald Trump. we just didn't expect for it to happen so soon. It was really devastating. Like, the kids are really upset about it.
And for your kids to be the ones to have to pay the price. Normally, Zoraida, how long would your kids be on the rink? Access to skating, playing hockey. How long would they get to go into the spring?
Usually about to the middle of March, and if it's cold enough, as long as we can until March. So
right.
It's really devastating to have it taken away so early in the middle of our season.
So Malik, again, your program, these kids skating in Central Park, seems to be the price to pay, the true victims, if there are ones, in this decision by the mayor's office, by the city. What explanation are they giving you for why they're canceling this contract somewhat 2 months early?
My explanation is in retaliation for the storming of the Capitol, which our kids, our families had nothing to do with. Right? And Donald Trump's not going to care that his rink's closing 3 weeks early. But our kids care and our families care. And we have to do something about it. We have to help, and we have to open the rink and keep it going. We rely on this. We've been playing hockey in Harlem for over 30 years. We're building better people, better everything. And the community needs this to stay open.
It's hard not to see this just being an act of spite, and the price to be paid is by those who are enjoying these benefits, not the target, which, as you pointed out, is Donald Trump. Malik, Zoraida, Amaya, we wish you the best of luck. Hope you find a place to enjoy skating. Thanks for jumping on the show with us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
You bet. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, still ahead, the New York Assemblyman who says Governor Cuomo threatened to destroy his political career now
voice to take on the governor. I will put my work ethic, I will put on my Republican ideology that I believe in, but I'm open to be challenged and to inspire people to do it better for New York and not be afraid of the different points of view that the Democrats bring to the room. That's what we'll be looking at as we go to change one-party control in Albany, New York.
So, Representative Andrew Cuomo, if he does run again, if he survives this to the ballot box, would be running for a record 4th term. Whoever's going to challenge him needs to be formidable, considering the political machine that he's built, as we've found out recently, through a lot of intimidation and now cover-ups. When would we know if you're going to be a candidate? What's your timeline to decide? And what would you run on this issue? And what would be the top 2 or 3 issues you'd run on?
Look, the nursing home scandal is not a political scandal from my perspective. I've been fighting this for months because 15,000 people died. When this order was issued on in March 2020, we told the governor, don't do this. You're going to kill thousands of people. We also had the Nursing Home Association within 24 hours from the national organization tell them, you're going to kill people by doing this. This is about holding accountable the governor for this reckless order that he did, knowing he was going to kill thousands of people. And then I watched his number 2, Dr. Zucker, give a press conference this week and double down on the lie that political fact checkers said was false, that they were listening to federal government officials from the Trump administration, that this is why they did what they did. That was ruled false months ago by the fact checkers. That type of lying, that type of arrogance, and then Dr. Zucker had the arrogance to tell those 15,000 people that died to their grave that they would do it exactly the same way again. Yeah, that type of arrogance has to end.
It is. Real quick, when are you going to make a decision whether you're running or not?
Look, we're going to get this taken care of on the Republican side. We're going to have a family discussion because we need to be organized. Like you said, it's going to be a formal effort. We're looking, we got to make this decision sooner rather than later. So stay tuned. We're in those final positions in my house because I have to obviously talk to my family and have that final okay. But I will tell you, we are getting close because I can't stand it any longer. This state needs to come out of one-party control.
Let us know when you do, for sure. Representative Tom Reed, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, turning now to a few additional headlines. An armed man opens fire inside of Louisiana. No, wherever you're standing, it looks like it's facing you, right? So maybe if you're on this side of the hill, it's facing you. If you're on that side of the hill, it's facing you. And then you charge and you charge.
I love working this out in real time, but I'm being told we need to get to Rick Reich News because I do know we need to get some of the latest on the weather across the country, Rick.
Yeah, I'm still stuck on the house, guys. All right, it's a lot better across almost the entire country. In fact, take a look at that. 20 degrees right now up in Minneapolis, 40 degrees in Houston. Cool across parts of Florida after that front went through. It's not going to last very long. We're going to warm up pretty quick. But overall, that kind of massive cold air that we had, for the most part, is gone, and that's really good news. Across the East Coast today, we've got really nice conditions, still a little bit of lake effect snow, but we have one system we're watching. It's right here across parts of the northern plains. This is going to bring a shot of reinforcing cold air or cooler air, I should say, down across parts of Texas eventually by tonight. Temps back below freezing just for one night, and it won't be a hard deep freeze. But here you go. We have snow today, maybe up to about an inch or two across areas of Iowa into Chicago or area up towards Wisconsin. That'll pull off towards parts of the Great Lakes eventually, and really heavy snow today again across parts of the Pacific Northwest. All right, guys, back to you.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks so much, Rick.
You bet.
Coming up, a major. So what does this mean for the vaccine rollout nationwide? Let's bring in Fox News medical contributor, Dr. Jeanette Nesheiwat. Doctor, thanks for being with us this morning. So two big stories there. Let's start with Pfizer and the storage and those changes in terms of how it needs to be stored. What's your take on that and what the implications may be?
Yeah, Jed, this is really, really good news because it gives us more flexibility for shipping, for transportation, for distribution and expansion of the vaccine. We can now send it to those rural areas that may not be fully equipped to store the vaccine in those Antarctic frigid temperatures. So you can put it in your normal, regular freezer. It can last for up to 2 weeks. We can send it to rural, small town, local hospitals, mom and pop pharmacies, your local doctor's office. They can better store it and we can reach more patients, more people. So overall, it's really going to help benefit us and help us catch up because we fell a little bit behind with this winter storm. So the more Americans that we can get vaccinated, obviously, the better. And this is certainly going to put us one step closer to herd immunity.
Now, Doctor, on that 85% effective number, that's a lot higher than initially thought after a single dose. Do you anticipate anything similar will emerge with respect to other vaccines like the Moderna or vaccines to come?
Absolutely. I mean, this is an excellent finding. This was a study out of Sheba Medical Center where they looked at over 7,000 participants, and they found between 15 and 28 days after their first vaccine, they averaged about 85% efficacy. What does that mean? That means you're less likely to be hospitalized, you're less likely to have severe complications, and you're less likely to die. So this is fantastic news. It also raises the question of, can we delay the second dose a little bit longer? And can we see these similar findings with other vaccines like Moderna? It's absolutely something that's a possibility.
Doctor, we've seen this story come out that's been scary to many, which is that fake COVID-19 vaccines are being sold in a Mexican border state clinic. Police have claimed there have been arrests made. The clinic has been raided at this point by state and federal authorities. But what's your message to people who are deeply concerned about these fake vaccines that are coming out here and there?
Yeah, this is very dangerous. There should be no charge for the vaccine, for the COVID vaccine. It is free in this country. Anyone trying to sell you the vaccine should raise a red flag. If you have any doubt, any uncertainty, check with your local Department of Health. Any place that offers the vaccine should be a well-known facility, your local hospital, a well-known pharmacy, your doctor's office. So if there's any uncertainty, check with the Department of Health. Do not purchase any of these vaccines. They shouldn't be for sale. You don't know what's inside of the vaccine. You don't know what chemical it is. And you may get a false sense of security thinking, well, I paid $600 for them. It's got to be real. But in fact, you could be harming yourself thinking that you're vaccinated or ingesting an unknown chemical. So you want to be careful and get your vaccine from a well-known source.
Dr. Nesheiwat, thanks for being with us. Great info as always. We appreciate it.
Thank you.